Okay, I think I've got it working this time. Kieran, I think you're the only one actually there. I noticed you in. Whoops. Hi, Chris. Are you guys hearing me okay? Just give me a yes or no in the. Are you guys hearing me by any chance? Hi, Jackie. Um, yeah, I was playing around with my trains earlier and thought we'd go online. But yes, if you can tell by the page, tomorrow is my wife and I's 33rd wedding anniversary. So I'm in the mood to celebrate, and I'm wearing my Liverpool because I'm celebrating that too. And hi, Simon. Hi, Jackie. Matt Moore, ladies and gentlemen, this is my friend Matt Moore. He's the gentleman when I have a problem, he fixes it for me. When I've gone live, I've just kind of done it so I didn't send warnings. But there's Matt. I do not have my trains running right now. I will get them going, but I just wanted to say hi to everybody. And we just came out of Lee's chat, and I just thought I'd go online. I'm kind of bored right now. I was hoping to get my new replacement parts for my Fowler car system, and they didn't come in, and they're not going to come in till next week. So I've really got nothing I can do on my layout. I did change up my trains here, but yeah, I've got some pictures of my wife and I. My wife is Joyce. We've been married 33 years and together almost 37 years. So that's a couple of lifetimes there. But if you look at the pictures, the upper left corner, as you're looking at this screen, that is exactly 2 hours after we met. We were both blind dates. I had been set up on a blind date. My very first date, I did not date a girl before that night. Didn't date a guy either. Uh, and But the girl I was supposed to be, I was a replacement. She had a date, and her date canceled on her for a Christmas dance. And so somebody asked me, would I fill in since I was free and a loser? And I said, sure. And then that girl decided to cancel out. And at the last second, they got who became my wife, Joyce. She filled in. And so that's her high school Christmas dance. That picture was taken exactly 2 hours after we met. And then 6 months later, in the right hand corner, was her graduation prom. I was already in college, but she was finishing high school. You can see that the deer in the headlights in the first picture has disappeared by the second picture. And then 3 years and a couple of months after that picture is down in the left hand corner. That's our wedding picture. And then the rest are just some scattered pictures that I threw up. So I like to celebrate. My wife's an amazing woman. The most recent picture of us is that one right there. That was taken 2 weeks ago. Our first kayaking on the river this year. We like to kayak. We live near a river, the Maumee River in Toledo, Ohio, and so we took that. I'm trying to follow this. This picture here is when we went to an Adam and the Ants concert 3 years ago. Well, Adam Ant, one of his Get Back on Tour concert. Let's see, working the German American Festival, summer of 2018, on top of the tallest mountain in Germany in 2006, Niagara Falls in 2011, Hanover, Germany in 2013, the Delmenhorst City Fest, sharing some ice cream in 2017. So, totally boring maybe to most of you. Hi, Lee. Hi, Simon. I'm trying to keep up with this. And Here, I'm going to knight a couple of people. I now declare you moderator of my site. Just because I've known you guys on the web pages for a while. Hi, Tim JD. How are you? Good to see you. I will be getting some trains going. I was running them in. I did change up a bunch. So let me go to this picture and let's just see what we got going. A little theme today. My ICE2 right here. My ICE3. Notice they're white with the red stripes. Tells you they're German high-speed trains. That's Intercity Express. These are the fastest one. This is the second generation. This is ICE2, which doesn't look a whole lot different than ICE1. The cars are a little fatter and taller on ICE1s. I do have an ICE1 way over there in my parking area. And then we have an IC1. You haven't seen this one running in a live stream. He's been parked for a few months, so I ran him in earlier today. When it comes around, I'll talk about the locomotive, and then you guys have seen this IC2. Now, these are also high-speed trains, hence they're white with the red stripe. As they come around, you'll notice this is a single-decker car. This is a double-decker wagon set. That's how you know one from two. IC1s have a red locomotive with the white car single deck. IC2s have a white locomotive, which you can see up front there. That is a 147. That is BR, which is Baureihe, or model number. Actually, it means building row, but it translates as model number. Baureihe 147, which is one of the newest passenger. They're used both in high-speed and slower regional traffic. And then over here, I have a freight train because I haven't run my 187 locomotive in a while. So those are the 5 main guys you're going to be seeing. Hello, I keep calling you Heath. I hope I'm getting it right. Okay, somebody just called me Mr. Dodge. Waifu Buster. That's either a very unique friend or one of my former students. Hope you got your parents' permission here. All right, so I'm going to start some of these trains up and let them get going. Now, this guy, the first one I'm starting off, and I start him off slow. That's my IC1. You'll notice his tail lights, his red lights do not work. This was the cheap train I bought and put in my classroom a few years ago, and I was absent, out sick for a day, and the substitute basically ignored my students. And my students were very, very good. I don't want to make this sound worse than it is. But I wasn't there. The substitute was ignoring them, and a couple of girls decided to move my table so they could plug in their phones and mess with their cell phones because the substitute wasn't paying attention to them. And unfortunately, the table was actually 2 tables. So what happened is they pulled the one table out, and the track fell and broke the train. And we've gotten most of it working, but the red tail lights don't work. But I'm going to send it off and get it all lit up anyhow. So that's one story with him going. But yeah, so he's... half my trains are not lit up today. I've got 6 trains, 3 light up, the other 3 don't light up because they didn't come with the lights, and I have to send them out to get it done, or maybe Matt may take on the job, I don't know. All right, let's get the other ICE3 going. Now, I don't run them with the sounds on, but... little announcement, the train's departing. There we go. this one. Hi, Lee. Hey, Dale. Good to see you. So, let's get this guy going. Come on. I hit his sound function, so he's got a little bit, but he's going to take off fast. That just knocked everybody back in their seats, didn't it? Whoa, we're leaving now. What in the heck? That was too fast to take off. What are you doing? Well, hello, Paul from Galgorm Hall. Galgorm Hall, excuse me. I was just doing a German accent, so I went crazy. So now we've got the IC1 going, so let's get the IC2 going. And he'll have a little delay to get going. No, you. Come on, tablet, work for me. Work, work, work. Okay, he's going. And now. All right, let's slow that freight train down. But yes, a very rare occasion, ladies and gentlemen, you are seeing a freight train running on my layout. Let's go back and see who's here and what's going on. I really need a stand for my phone. I haven't advanced to that kind of technology yet. There'll be a slight hand of God moment here. Hand, waist, and belly button of God there. All right, so now we have 6 trains in motion, all under one control. No, Paul, I really don't do freight, but I like to run some different trains when I'm doing a live stream, and my wife bought me the freight locomotive and almost all of the cars. The other cars came from a gentleman in Canada named Herb. Trying to, oh, here, let me put this on all view while we're at it. Hang on, hang on. Okay, there. Now you can kind of see the trains everywhere. I'm messing around on Facebook real fast, trying to get a hold of a couple people. Okay. All right, Simon. Hey, GWR. Nice to see you there. So if you're actually new to the live stream, and this is only my 3rd, and the first 2 were not even planned, let me give you a view of the layout. So here's my layout map, and actually you can see the trains running live. Give you an idea. The big C, as I call it. I suppose it could be a lowercase g if you turned it a certain way, or a U if you spun it around, but whatever. You pick your letter. I don't really care. So the right-hand side is the side that will not be built up for a long time because I'm slowly building up the left-hand side. The left-hand side is where I have the Delmenhorst Station and bus area. So I have 3 cameras on that. The village view, the train station cam, and up the ramp. And then this other table only has a couple. We call the long view. That's in the upper right-hand corner. You'll see that. I'll go through them so you get a better idea. But at least on this map, you kind of get an idea where everything is. I am not a computer graphic person. My daughter is, but she's too busy to help her old father out. And speaking of helping her father out, I don't know, I'll be able to. She gave us permission to do it this weekend, but I think I'm a day ahead. The big news is, hey, greetings, Donegal Dad. Nice to have you, sir. And Moreland Andy. So I want to share this with you because it's a big deal in our family. I'm going to become a grandfather. My oldest daughter, after several years of trying and not succeeding, is now 3 months pregnant. And my wife and I are going to be grandparents for the first time. So my wife is extremely happy. I'm happy too. My wife is definitely more. She has been waiting to become a grandmother for a few years. And so I'm sharing that with you. If you know me on Facebook, don't say anything, because technically my daughter said she wanted to announce it on Facebook first. But she told us 2 months ago, well, 6 weeks ago, and told us we had to keep it quiet because she was very nervous that it wasn't going, that she might lose it. But now she's at a point where she told us earlier this week that we could announce it this weekend. Well, it's Friday afternoon. To me, that's the weekend. But technically, she wants to announce it to the family and everybody first. But, well, none of you are family in that regard. So, yes, we're very excited. We're going to be grandparents. So anyhow, let's go through this. So this is the 11-lane view. I sit in the command center. You can see my hand right here. The hand of a false god. And so we call this the 11-lane view. This view we call the long run because it's the full 23 feet I have going along. It's the only one where my trains look prototyped enough that they can extend themselves out. So we call that the long run. We then have the station view, which is them coming out of the long run. Actually, there's a camera there called up the ramp as well. I probably should have done that first. That's up the ramp. And then they go up the ramp into the station. And then out of the station, they do village view. And then you'll see the IC3 coming along here. I probably need to put one of my better cameras there. This is not the best camera. Okay, Sierra Gato, is that Matt? Or is that Chris? Uh-oh, I think I'm in trouble now. My son-in-law is here. Hi, Christopher. That is my son-in-law, Chris. Oops. Now I'm in trouble. This is my son. This is my son, Chris, my son-in-law. He's this proud papa-to-be. So, ears were burning, I guess, and I gave away, Chris, I gave away the secret. It's between you and me. Wait a minute, Lindy's in here too? I didn't see my daughter came in either. Uh-oh. But she said it was okay. Oops. I figured sharing it with a bunch of people hundreds of miles away would be okay. So we've got Christopher, Chris, and Chris in here. Chris from Hales Heritage Railway. My son-in-law is Chris. Well, damn, daughter. Now I feel really bad. Lynn and Chris came in when I told the train guys. I figured I could get away with it. Yeah. I told the train guys. Well, since two of my family's here, why don't you meet the third? Coming up from behind, this is my wife Joyce. Completely blacked out. She put herself right behind. There she is. There's Joyce. Your daughter and Chris is in there. Nice. It's close enough. I'm getting asked advice about knitting. Yeah, you have to stand behind me. Okay. Lynn is in here. Linny is in here. Hi, Linny. Yes, they were here from the beginning, and I said I'm not supposed to do this because she hasn't announced it yet, but I figured I could tell them. So Chris and Lynn are here. That's funny. Totally busted. Sorry, guys. I can't keep secrets. Don't tell me anything. All right. Yes, Matt says congrats. Matt Moore's in here too. And other people are saying hi and bye, Joyce. Hi, John Dawson. Okay, now on my last unannounced stream, and this is what happens. I come down here and start playing with my trains, and then people start, I say, oh, look, maybe I'll just stream and see who shows up, and I get a lot of people, which is awesome. But on my last stream, a couple of people came in and then kind of wrote me some unhappy emails. Like, they came to my stream and I was talking football and music and family stories and wasn't talking trains. All right, let me put that out there. If you haven't figured out by now, I will talk trains if somebody asks about trains. And if you ask about trains, 2 out of 3 times my answer is going to be, I don't know, sorry, can't help you. But otherwise, I just run my trains, let you guys watch them, and anybody who wants to chat and talk and say hello. Hi, King Fox Junction. I've got to watch the stream. See, I get yakking at the microphone. See, I really need this on my computer so I can see the stream going. But then I can't see what I'm showing going through. Let's try that. All right. Hello, Tim Surf. So, yeah, that was cool. Actually, my son-in-law and my daughter came on, checking up on Dad, probably seeing if he was going to break the news, maybe. I've got such great kids, all 4 of my kids, 3 kids and my son-in-law, but they're all my kids. My students are my kids, too. So, let's do the village view. There's the village view. Just a little bit of a view over the village. You can't see the bus station, but if you guys haven't heard, 2 weeks ago, I had the bus set up working perfectly. I just had one thing. 2 of the turnout motors were powered directly. They weren't connected to a module because I didn't have the module. Now, what that means is that the motors were always on. In other words, every car was going to turn down that lane. And unfortunately, I bought the module, and then when I went to connect everything to the module, I should have just left everything alone, but I went to connect everything to the module, and I screwed it up, and now only 1 bus stop is working. The 2 turnout motors work if they're direct powered, but they're not working through the module. and the other bus stop, the motor burned out. So yeah, I did a bonehead there. So I'm just waiting for new parts to come in and see if I can get it running again. Otherwise, I would probably have been running the bus stop and letting you guys see that going too. Well, Tim, Grandma has wanted to blab, but we were under orders of secrecy. We had to keep it quiet, and last week our daughter told my wife that we could announce it this weekend. And I beat my wife to the punch because, well, I went live today, and like I said, I don't even know if I was officially cleared to do it today, but I've done it. And since my amazingly talented and gifted daughter, she has actually sells stuff on Etsy. I don't know if you live in the United States, you could check it out. Lynn, if you're still here. Uh-oh, GWR is leaving already? Darn, man, I was hoping you'd stick around a while, but that's okay. But if my daughter's still here, she could, well, I'd have to knight her. But she could post up the link to her Etsy page. She used to run a sign making shop. She ran her own business, a sign making shop, but she closed the main office, but she still does the vinyl signs and stickers and everything for businesses and that. She still does it out of her house, but she used to have a full business where she made, the big signs, light up signs, and maybe I'm a biased father, but the girl is an amazing artist and genius. So let me see if I can find my daughter's YouTube name here, and I know I could post a link, but that would take too much time. Where is it? Come on. Oh, I wonder if Waifu Buster was Zach. I don't know. Oh, well. Since she's not responding, I'll assume she's working again. I'll try to post it later. All right, Paul, thank you for stopping by. I was honored that you came in. Okay, there she is. Well, here, Lynn, in just a minute. There, you're now a moderator. Now you can post your Etsy page and whatever other business links. You can post them on the YouTube channel. So it's a family show today, ladies and gentlemen. The wife has popped in. The kids are here. Yes, if you didn't catch it, my wife and I are celebrating our 33rd wedding anniversary. Technically, it's tomorrow. But since we're on lockdown, celebrating it tonight, celebrating tomorrow, it's all the same. But the amazing Mrs. Dodge and the crazy Mr. Dodge over the years. But anyhow, I'm going to post this up real quick. Ain't cool. So yes, it's a wedding anniversary, and we're going to be grandparents. So yeah, we're kind of silly. And the least important of the things, but at the same time. celebrating this too. 30 years I've been waiting. 30 years. About freaking time. Michael Owen didn't get it done. Robbie Fowler didn't get it done. Luis Suarez, you failed. Fernando Torres, you failed. Even Steven Gerrard, beautiful player, you didn't get it done. Finally, Mo Salah, Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino, Virgil van Dijk, and the rest, they got it done. All right, enough soccer. I'm sorry. Football. Enough world football. All right, we'll do that. Hey, Paul. Glad to see you in. We're not grandparents yet, but we're going to be. We have been threatened at gunpoint by our daughter not to reveal this for several weeks, but we finally got permission. So yeah, we're excited. Well, Chris, I appreciate your boredom with my team finally winning, but I'll have you know that the daughter who is currently in this live stream is also a Man United fan. None of my kids are Liverpool fans because when we played PES or FIFA on the various consoles, I was always Liverpool, so they couldn't be Liverpool. So, yeah, my oldest daughter here is a Man United fan. And I don't know where I went wrong with these kids. My son's a Newcastle fan. My daughter, Arsenal and Chelsea. Actually, Kieran, yes, we were forced to sign privacy documents. The whole thing, we were held at gunpoint. It was my wife's birthday and Mother's Day because my wife's birthday was on Mother's Day. And she came in brandishing weapons, handed my wife a card in which she announced that my wife might be becoming a grandmother. And my wife immediately had a breakdown. She tried running around the house, banging pots and pans, celebrating. We had to take stuff away from her. But then, yes, we were taken out to the kitchen table and forced to sign documents that said we cannot tell anybody until she gives us the permission to announce it. Well, hello, Richard. Thank you for stopping by. I do love your streams, and I felt so bad that I went over yours a couple of weeks ago. I completely forgot. Forgetting is not an excuse, but, well, it's my excuse. So if you guys have any questions about anything you're seeing, I don't change the trains up during live streams because every track that can have a train running has a train running. So there's no changing and parking. It takes me a little bit to park one train and pull the other one out, and I'd just rather do that. But yes, I am running a freight train today. Let me go to the 11 lane feed. There he comes. That red locomotive. German locomotives, you might say, all look alike. It's very, even for me, it's hard to tell a 185 from a 147, from a 155, the 112s and lower 100s. I will tell you this about German locomotives. They have a three-number system. And the first number tells you what kind of locomotive it is. If the number starts with a 0, it's steam. If it starts with a 1, it's electric. And if it starts with a 2, it's diesel. So you could have a 045, that's a steam, a 145, that's electric, and a 245, that's diesel. And then, for the most part, if the second two numbers are 50 and below, they are passenger service. And if they're 51 and higher, their freight service. So a 156 is a freight train. A 185, a 187 is a freight train. A 146, a 147 is a passenger locomotive. Hey, Calico does Gabe. How are you this afternoon? Oh, I figured you'd like the freight train, Matt. I took a few cars off just because it would be too long to be going around the short lap. My freight train is, I don't know what a prototypical freight train is, but it's a BR-187 locomotive, which is probably the most common freight hauling locomotive now, although the Class 193s are coming in. They're called Vectrons. The Class 193 is coming in. And then the white locomotive here is a Class 140. I said 147 earlier. I'm sorry. It's a 146-2. And 146-2 can be used for high speed if it's white, or regional slower traffic if it's in red. But German government trains are white if they're high speed. They are red if they're regional, the commuter traffic. I'm doing great, Kaloko. We just announced, first of all, tomorrow is my wife and I's 33rd anniversary, so we're celebrating that. And also, we are now officially allowed to announce that we are becoming grandparents, so that's been the big news today. Actually, I don't know if I was allowed to do it today, but I did it. Because I, of course, assumed my daughter and son-in-law would not be on my live stream today. And lo and behold, they were on my live stream today. Oops, busted. But you're all in England, so you can't ruin it. Well, you're not all in England. Hi, Rachel. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, the German rail system, I mean, it's the Germans. We have a reputation of being very organized, organisiert. Alles muss in Ordnung sein. Everything has to be in order. So the way they number their trains is very on top of it. That's why when I watch some of your streams, like when Rachel goes out and films some of the local trains, and like St. Peter's, and I gotta think of the other gentleman, St. Michael's Hill. They will put the type of trains that are coming by on, and I'm trying to figure out, like, now I know what a Class 800 train is. I know what a Class 37 locomotive is. I knew the Class 66s. I know all that, but sometimes they'll put the route number or whatever it is on there, and I've asked a couple of people, can you explain how your route system works? And they're like, no. And in German, it's very easy. Let's go to the, well, we're about to get busy here. Let's do an up the ramp, because I haven't done that for a bit. But in Germany, all the routes have 4 numbers. The first 2 numbers are the route, and the second 2 numbers are the train through the day. So, for example, there is a route that runs from a place on the northwest coast of Germany. The place is called Norddeutsche-Mole. Don't worry about that. And this route runs from Norddeutsche-Mole down through Bremen all the way over to Hanover in northern central Germany. And so that particular route is Route 44. And if the trains are going west, they're even number trains. So you have 4402, 4404, 4406, 4408. You get the idea. Going east, it's odd numbers, 4401, 4403. And it just depends on which, and they each have a specific time they go through each city. For example, we always catch, when I was with my students in Germany, we would always catch in the city of Delmenhorst, we would catch the 4411 to Hanover, because we'd go to this city called Goslar. And so we would catch the 4411, which would always be one of the red Regio bonds, which I'm not running right now. I do have a little red guy running, but yep. Now let's just go back to the all run. There you go. So it's very easy to learn how everything works. Now you don't have to memorize the routes or anything like that. It's just well organized. But when I see the UK routes, I see TU1F, LU73, and I'm like, what does that mean? And most people say, I don't know. Hello, Richard Watson. Thank you for stopping by on what is for the Dodge family a special day. My wife and I are celebrating our 33rd wedding anniversary, and we've just been, well, I don't know if allowed's the right word, but we have been announcing that we are going to become grandparents for the first time. Our amazingly talented and wonderful daughter, Lynn, is going to make us grandparents in January. So we're very excited. So I know some of you are hearing it for the 20th time, but just trying to keep everybody up to date. Welcome, Ray Borville. New name here. So if you have anything about trains, let's see, the one guy just passed. For those of you who don't really know German trains, I'll try to catch them as they come through here. Coming down right now, this is the ICE3. That's the fastest of the high-speed German trains. You can tell German high-speed trains because they're white with the red stripe, and next to it is an IC2. Now, ICE, don't call them ice trains. I say that every now and then. Don't call them ice trains. This is an ICE2 going through the other way. They don't go quite as fast as the ICEs. So I've got two ICEs running. Then I have two ICs, Intercity Express, Intercities. And an IC2 has what we call in German Doppelstock, double-decker cars, double-decker wagons. And the IC1, which just went past, is a single level. Thank you, Rachel. It's hard to truly call it a layout. I tend to call it a train table. The only thing about my layout that is truly a layout is I got my train station and my bus depot done, and I'm thrilled with them. I've been putting in the Fowler car system, which was working great 2 weeks ago, and then, well, I did this thing you should never do. I messed with it. I tried to combine it all into one module and burned half of it out because, well, I'm a dipstick at times. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can stop this guy here where you can see it. The 101, there it is. I'm going to stop that guy right here for a second. And let's back him up just a bit. Okay. The locomotive I stopped in front of you is a 101, a BR 101. Baureihe just means class, model number. Actually, it means building row, but that's how we translate it, Baureihe. BR 101. So 1 tells you it's electric. You can see the pantographs on it. 01 is below 50, so it tells you it's a passenger puller. And the 101 specifically haul IC1 high-speed traffic. But this one is particularly special because last year was Märklin, the largest model train company in the world, was their 160th anniversary. So they paid Deutsche Bahn and had one of these 101s modeled, and they put a big Märklin celebration on both sides. I really can't zoom in on it with these little cheap webcams, but it's a very cool looking locomotive. Whoops. That's what happens when you hit the wrong button. I hit the wrong train. Bad me. But anyhow, that is one of my newest locomotives. That was my birthday present / Christmas present. So I'm quite fond of this one. And it hasn't run in a few months. It has been a while since I've had it running on the layout. But that's my newest one. No, Kieran, I did not know. Yeah, Paul, I saw your post. Paul Hind, I saw your post last night. Now, you do know that the Danish IC4 has nothing to do with the German ICs. But yeah, those Danish IC4s were made in Italy, and I think by the same company that made Pendolinos. Maybe not. But yeah, they've had all kinds of problems in Denmark with them. Very, very bad brakes. But fortunately, nothing to do with any of my ICs. In fact, they look a little like a Pendolino in my opinion, but I'm not a very knowledgeable person. Hi, Alan. What we're up to this week is my wife and I are celebrating our 33rd wedding anniversary. And, well, we're kind of stuck at home. Technically, it's tomorrow. Uh-oh, we just got a freeze up. Oh, there we go. And my daughter has given us permission to announce that we are going to become grandparents for the first time in January, but my daughter is expecting her first child. And we're very excited about this. My wife is not allowed to touch any sharp instruments right now because she's too excited and ecstatic. She has been bouncing off the walls since she found out she was going to be a grandma. Well, I think everybody's having trade. Last year, Calico, when we were in Germany, I had never seen so many delays. Now, Germans always like to complain about their train system, but Germans complain about a train if it's 3 minutes late, okay? So you got to start there. But last year, they had a problem where they were changing the retirements of a lot of the drivers, especially the high-end drivers. And so a lot of them retired, and they did not have enough guys qualified to drive the ICE3s and ICE4s. And they were filling in with all these old trains, and it was chaos. And I guess they're still having some problems because even though Germans always complain about their trains, they're really complaining about their trains right now. And when I'm over there, except for last summer, I've never had a problem with the trains. I love the German train system. I am jealous of it. America needs to step up and get one. I know we have Amtrak, but it's not the same. And so, yeah, we're... Let's see, I missed somebody. Somebody mentioned something and I got off. Well, I didn't get off track. Ray Bobel mentioned that ancestors are from Germany. That's what I talked about last week, is 3 of my 4 grandparents were born in Germany. And then the Dodge part comes from England. But they left England in the 1700s. When your last name is Dodge, you get your family history beat into your head at an early age. My wife could tell you horror stories. Well, I'll tell you a quick version of the horror story since some of you say you like my stories. My grandfather Dodge, was the oldest son of 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 the oldest son, going back about 500, 600 years, okay? My grandfather Dodge. Now, my dad was a younger brother. His older brother, my Uncle Dale, was the oldest son of the oldest son of the oldest son, blah, blah, blah. He had 2 sons. My dad had 2 sons. The problem is my Uncle Dale, his 2 sons only had girls. They only had girls. My brother is gay, so although he talks about adopting, he's 51 and he hasn't adopted yet, so I don't know if that'll ever happen. So it came down to me. I was the last to carry on this part of the bloodline. I know that means nothing to most of you, but again, in my family and blood, it's very important. So when I got married and my wife got pregnant for the first time, here we are. We go to the family reunion, the Dodge family reunion. Hey, my wife is pregnant. And they're like, it better be a boy. It better be a boy. We need to have boys. The bloodline is dying out. We need to have boys. And then we had a girl. And we took her to the next family reunion the following summer. That group of old ladies treated my wife like she had the plague. You were supposed to have a boy. And my wife doesn't take crap. She's like, blame Anthony. He's the one whose DNA made it a girl. And then we had another girl, oops, and that made all the old biddies grumpy. And then finally we had a son. The problem is by the time my son was born, the old crabby ladies had died. But my poor son, anytime he went to a family reunion or anything, the family would introduce him as the last of the Dodges. My poor son had to go through that as a 4-year-old, as a 5-year-old. He would introduce himself, hi, I'm AJ Dodge, last of the Dodges. Really, really sad. But now the pressure's on my son. Well, hello, Zevries. Welcome. Now, I can't speak to any trains, whether it's Italian or Dutch. I mean, first of all, I love the Dutch liveries. The NSB trains are just gorgeous. So are the Belgians. But I've never ridden on a Dutch train. I've only ridden on German and Czech trains. I was supposed to ride on an Austrian railjet this summer, but that didn't happen. But anyhow, just to give more information, train related. Is it true? Yes, every single train I'm running today is Märklin, the German company Märklin. They're all Märklin trains. My layout is AC3 rail. So all these trains come with a little ski on it. But yeah, I have my my Roco railjet is parked off to the side. My Pico, and that's P-I-K-O, not the British Pico, the German Pico, that is parked at one of the stations, because that is not Märklin. And what else do I have that's not Märklin? I've got a Brava Class 146 white locomotive that isn't on my layout anymore because I replaced it with a Märklin we bought. And what else is, I got one other locomotive that is not Märklin. And then a couple of my freight cars aren't Märklin. I'm sorry, NSB, I got it backwards, I'm sorry. See, I don't know this stuff. I should have just left it with the Dutch rail lines and been happy with that. Oh, there's a lot of families like that, Ray. Definitely. You get a good old Italian family and they want the boys too. Unfortunately, our name is Dodge, as in the car company, and yeah, they get a little uptight about... we've had nothing to do with the cars for 60, 70 years, and my grandfather got us cut out of the money anyhow, so, my great-grandfather, so... But everybody in my family does drive Dodges. For you Americans that know the American car companies. All right, thank you, Chris. Take care. I know that a website I don't subscribe to, a channel I don't subscribe to, Amory Junction, is doing a premiere right now. So if you guys were thinking of checking in on that, you can hop over there. Yeah, slip of the tongue, that little part of my history brain there, Calico. Yeah, oops. Yeah, just NS, not NSB. Yeah. Yeah, we won't talk about the NSB. Actually, we already have, but you know what I mean. Wow, I have 26 people in here. Y'all are masochists. I just want to remind you all again. Walk on with us on your... Yeah, Zevries Brava makes fantastic models. I love Brava models. I'm loyal to Märklin, but Brava just makes excellent stuff. My only problem with Brava is Brava announces something and you don't see it for 3 years. I was going to buy the Brava Twindex IC2 wagons when they first announced them, but they only released them in DC. And then they did that version where it was going to be DC AC Combine. And that wound up being a disaster. And so they re-released them in DC and AC. But by the time they re-released them in AC, I said I had already ordered the Märklin ones because I was tired of waiting for Brava. But Brava makes gorgeous trains. I don't know if I'd say, well, I would say their high-end stuff is equal to Märklin's high-end stuff, but Brava just makes great stuff. To be honest, I think Rocco is fantastic stuff for the money you pay. Rocco makes some excellent locomotives and cars. Pico is everywhere. Pico makes some real crap, and then they make some real good stuff. That 6-1 means nothing anymore, Andy. It means nothing anymore. That was years ago. Gerard's gone. This isn't about Gerard. This is about Salah and Mane and Firmino and Wijnaldum and, well, I don't like Naby Keita. And Robbie, Andy Robertson, Jamie Milner, Jordan Henderson, Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez, and the rest all on Gilligan's Island. There was a Danish company that now I think Brava has taken over, or at least bought out their stock. It was called Hobby Trade. Now, there is a company called Hobby Train. I know that, but this was Hobby Trade. And I think they finally went belly up last year. They made fantastic cars. I don't know about their locomotives, but I have seen both in Germany and at shows and online, I have seen their passenger wagons, and they were gorgeous. This Danish company called Hobby Trade. Gorgeous stuff. Sorry, Paul. I was just singing. Your ears will be burning. Yeah, I know. When you're not into something, people keep talking about it, drives you crazy. But I can't help it. I have been a Liverpool fan since Paisley was coach. And for those of you who don't know, that was 60s, early 70s. And I'm also, for my American fans here, or American visitors here, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. I'm a Cleveland Indians fan. My teams lose. And if they make it to the championships, they lose in spectacularly embarrassing ways. So when one of my teams finally wins a championship, yes, I have to live vicariously through them. I have to celebrate it because, man, I have rooted for a lot more losers than winners in the big time. The last time Liverpool won was 1990. And I mean, I forget if Michael Owen was on that team. Michael Owen, by the way, is my favorite Liverpool player. Loved Michael Owen. Don't want to confuse him with Wilfred Owen, the great poet, who's also one of my favorite poets. So apparently if you're from England and your name is Owen, I like you. Probably some really rabid nut job politician named Owen that'll prove me wrong on that, but you know. Yes, I saw that, Zevries. I saw the new generation railjet coming out. I have one which you saw last week when you were here, but oh my goodness, I want to ride one. The Austrian railjet is the nicest high-speed locomotive on mainland Europe that doesn't cost you several $100s to ride on. The railjets are just beautiful inside and out. The economy class seats and seating areas are amazing. I haven't ridden on one, but I've been in one. My wife and I, when we are in Germany, stop off at Munich and we'll see rail jets and we'll find out how long they've got. You know, they're getting everybody off, and once everybody's off, I'll hop off on the cars real quick and look around and go, oh my gosh, this is nice. You turn into a little 7-year-old goober. Golly, look at this. This is cool. Whew. But what I really want to do is figure out, I know the basics, but I have, all the cameras I have microphones, but they conflict with each other because I'd like to really show off some of the things I do with my station. You'd probably have to watch one of my videos, like when I first got the station built. My station, which you see in picture 1 there, I built in speakers into the roof. Lighting and speakers, and so it makes announcements. It makes all the train announcements. Yeah, Kieran, if you want to learn how to build layouts and how to make, especially his tutorials on how to make water scenics and that, Marklin of Sweden is the guy to go to. Torsten is amazing. He's right up there in Luke Towen class. He's that good. And if you don't know who Luke Towen is, well, yeah, if you hear the train suddenly slow down a bit, I'm messing with some things. But as I've mentioned a few times, with this large setup, with 11, well, technically, what do I have? 16 lanes, of which I have 12 trains, counting the parking areas, which are all wired. They're not isolated from each other. And they're all on one power line. You can see me in picture 3. They're all one power line from my central station. And I really wish I had another camera that I could use as a moving camera and show you some of the things I'm talking about. But all the webcams that I have that you're using, that you're seeing on this layout, they are, they're basically, the wires, except for one of them, are locked into place to prevent a certain cat from knocking everything over. Hello, Leslie Gilpin. Welcome to my celebration running session, except my wife ran away. She's knitting. But we are celebrating 33 years married, 37 years together. If you want to hear the gross, icky stuff, not that stuff, get your filthy minds out of the gutter. My wife is the only woman I ever dated. I have never had another girlfriend, had a date with another woman, and likewise from her, I am the only man she's ever dated. And we met on a bizarre blind date, and 37 years later, 33 years married, we're still here. Now we're on separate floors, so maybe that's the secret to marriage. Although, I always find that when there's something you got to fix in your marriage, a hammer helps. Sorry, Lee. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Lee. Really, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. I said no more hammer jokes. I just violated that rule. I'm a horrible person. Okay, here's Kara, who was in on the secret all along. Haha, we caught a picture with no trains running. We'll go with the long view and let you see a couple of things going around here. Oh, hi, Kara. How are you? Damian Laffer, welcome. This Kara Frey that's here, she worked with and for my daughter and is, as she said, best friends. So apparently they're all coming in now. But Kara was one of the few people in on the secret all along. Oh, that's right. Hey, Kieran, you did survive. No wasp attack. Melvin, there is no early or late. You just come in and leave when you want. You don't have to say hello. You don't have to say goodbye. I don't announce it. I'm down here messing with my trains, and I say, well, maybe I'll go live, because I've been doing it for a week and a half now. I've done 3 live streams, because I like to talk to people, and I just like to talk. As you guys go through these views, is there any particular one you like? Like, do you like the 5-picture arrangement here, where you can see them all at different places? Or I can add me, and why you would like that one unless you're my wife, I don't know. I don't do the up the ramp one a lot. I probably should. But yeah, you can see the Fowler track in there. And for those of you looking at, none of that scenery, except for the Fowler track and the railroad track, will be there when I actually build the layout. That is just wargaming stuff and old model stuff I say that I grabbed from junk piles, a few kits I bought and built just to have stuff on my table. But when I finally start building Delmenhorst proper, which is now going to take a 3D printer, they don't make models of the buildings I need, and I can't scratch build anymore. My hands, within 10-15 minutes of trying to work on something, I just get tremors. It's a nervous condition, it's arthritis, and it's a genetic thing my family has. And yeah, it hits us around the 50s, and in the last couple of years, it's gotten really bad. I was wiring the Fowler car system last week, and it was like somebody was running 10,000 volts through my body. I was just shaking, and couldn't put wires into sockets. It was annoying. So that's the up the ramp scene. Yeah, GWR, no, I was just explaining. The bus is not running. First of all, I don't have a camera I could really show other than this one that would show the bus running. Let's go to the long run. A couple of guys are going to be coming through. This is the long run. No, the bus is not working. I was trying to change things to a new module, and I burned out half of it. So it's not working. The bus actually still works, and it'll do the outer loop. It just won't pull into the bus area, and only one of the bus stops is working. So yeah, I violated one of my other rules that's not layout related. If it's working, leave it alone. And I decided not to leave it alone. I thought I'd wire it up to the central module, because that's what the Fowler company tells you to do. Wire it all into this. And when I did it, I screwed it all up. Wow, I feel honored. I rank up with Glastonbury. Thank you, Andy. I am too much of a... I don't like large crowds, so I don't think I could handle... I've gone to many concerts, and I've been to many stadiums for sports, but one of those big outdoor concerts like that, whew, it'd probably be an awesome experience. So if you get to go to it, that's awesome. Too big. I don't know. The last concert I went to was Adam Ant 3 years ago. I'll go back to that picture here. If you look in the bottom right-hand corner, where are we? Over. I got to do this mirrored. That picture right there. Yeah, that's my wife and I in Detroit, Michigan at an Adam Ant concert. And yes, I dressed up. I saw Adam and the Ants in 1980 on his first tour of America, right after Kings of the Wild Frontier came out. Then I saw him right after he left Adam and the Ants in 1982. And then saw him again in 2017. But I wouldn't have been allowed to put back when I had the hair and that, my dad would have beat the crap out of me if I had dressed up for an Adam Ant concert. So I said at age 52, to hell with it, I'm going to dress up. And if I embarrass my kids, too bad. My wife said, I'll dress up too. And we went. Now, my wife, being the amazingly beautiful woman she is, she got stopped by lots of people who wanted to take her picture. She got stopped by a lot of people who wanted to take her picture. It is lucky, but at the same time, I'm a little jealous because there is a painting somewhere of my wife growing old. Somewhere there's a painting of my wife growing old because the woman doesn't age. She's 52 there. Well, 51 there. She doesn't look it. She's 52 in this picture. Doesn't look it. Not even close. She's got a magic secret somewhere. Well, I just get gray and fat and bald. Do we have anybody coming to the station? Nope. We have coming up the ramp. Coming through the station. Hey, we had 3 guys passing through the station there. Now, for those of you who nagged me about the steam, no, I'm not putting the steam on, but I may do a Christmas in July because that's sort of a common sales merchandising thing here in America. I don't know if they do it in the UK or anywhere else, but we always do this Christmas in July. So maybe I'll run my Christmas train on this layout in July because I do have a Christmas joke scene on the station that you can't see right now. So up the ramp, into the station. And now the village view. So you can see how those three cameras all tie together. I don't know. I mean, I saw a lot of bands when I was young, back in the 70s, and I always liked bands before they became famous. I mean, now, in the mid to late 80s, I saw U2 about 6 or 7 times. I loved early U2, their first 4 or 5 albums. But most of the bands I like never came around here, or their key members had died. But you know, I remember seeing Aerosmith here in Toledo back in the 70s, you know, just as they were becoming big. Journey, Uriah Heep, early Journey, Foreigner, a lot of the, you know, medium big rock bands of the 70s. I saw Devo when they were a club band before they became famous with Whip It. Did somebody just say they're going live? Is somebody going live? I think Adam Lambert with Queen is amazing. Here we are talking music, so I'm sure the one gentleman, well, I haven't seen his name pop up, so maybe he decided not to come. Yeah, Andy, back in the 70s, bands would come to this town. Now they don't. They'll go to Detroit, Cleveland, or Columbus and Chicago, and we're kind of in the middle of all that, so they don't come here. Back in the 70s, they'd come. Now they don't. So yeah, we have to travel. Saw Yes a few times. In fact, the first concert my wife and I went to as a dating couple was April 1984, Yes's 90125 album tour. That was a great concert. That was our first concert, seeing the reunited Yes. John Anderson, Chris Squire, Jeff Downs. I think they had Alan White on drums for that tour. I forget who their keyboardist was on that tour. Keyboardist with Yes is like drummers with Spinal Tap. Hello, Rich. Welcome and thank you for stopping by. So you saw them in their heyday with probably with Rick Wakeman on keyboards, or was that the later years where John Wetton and from the Buggles took over when John Anderson quit? Yeah, Foghat, I've seen back in the 70s, saw Foghat. We used to have this big concert in Toledo called Raceway Jam, Speedway Jam, because we used to have a, not, it was sort of a NASCAR, but a level lower, but it was a big motor race here in Toledo called the Speedway Jam, or we had a speedway there, and there'd be a big concert in the summer called the Speedway Jam where you'd get all the bands. I mean, on one weekend you'd have Cheap Trick, Aerosmith, Foreigner, Bad Company, all on one weekend here in Toledo. It was actually kind of big, so as a young guy I could get in. My sisters would take me and get me in. But the first concert I went to on my own, where I bought the ticket and drove myself, was actually was a touring version of Broadway's Beatlemania, and then Adam and the Ants in 1980. I was going on 17. I was 16 and a half, and I was born in 63, so you can do the math. So yeah, Adam and the Ants was the first one. Distantly related to Jeff Lynne. Hey, that's still closer than most of us, so if you're close enough, that's me. Def Leppard was so good before they went pop. The first two albums of Def Leppard, amazing, great stuff. I remember spending 1 year in high school listening to Def Leppard's High and Dry album, and they had just released Pyromania, and Rob Halford's band, My Brain Is Not Working. Oh crap, help me. Rob Halford, his amazing metal band. Oh, Screaming for Vengeance was the album. Why am I dying here? Google, where are you? Well, hi again, Jim. I'm doubled honored to have you here again. Nice to see you. GWR, I do like King Crimson. They're not my favorite band. They're sort of like, hey, that's a good song, or wow, that really sucked. And then again, it's which iteration of King Crimson are we talking about? Because they've had so many different, it's like Deep Purple. How many different people were in that band? Judas Priest. That's the band my brain is numbing with. Rob Halford for Judas Priest. I spent my sophomore or junior year of high school just blaring out Screaming for Vengeance by Judas Priest. And I had just discovered Def Leppard, so their High and Dry album, and then Pyromania had come out. And I liked like the first couple of songs off Pyromania, and the rest of it I thought they had sold out, and after that I just could care less about Def Leppard. But their first two albums, awesome stuff. GWR, I could not sit here and name King Crimson songs right now because I don't have anything King Crimson in my vinyl or in my digital. I just know songs, and you start playing one, I'll go, oh yeah. It's sort of like Roxy Music. I know a lot of Roxy Music songs, and Roxy Music is hit and miss. I couldn't say I like Brian Ferry or Roxy Music, but man, when they make a good song, it's a good song. I'm waiting for that angry letter from the Belgian again. All you did was talk about the music on the tray, the music and the wedding and all that stuff. You did not talk about the trades at all. Sorry, I got a complaining letter from a Belgian. I thought Belgians were cool. Yeah, Duran Duran, that's where they got their name, of course, from Barbarella. Yeah, Court of the Crimson King, I know my sister had that album. But my vinyl collection, when I was young, we'll cue the violins. When I was young, I was rather poor. So spending money on albums was really not conceivable. Money was a very rare commodity, and if you had money, in my household, it usually went to my mom and dad. And then I got a job at 12. I was a caddy, which is, after 4 years of caddying, I hate the sport of golf. I'm sorry to all you, especially those of Scotland, but since it's recognized as a UK sport, but I hate golf. I caddied for 4 years. I hate the sport. But it allowed me to save up money and pay my way through a private high school. Now, to help the UK people out, if you don't know, what you guys call a public school in the UK, we call a private school in America. And then I don't know if you guys call them state schools or whatever in the UK, but we call those public schools. So public is the ones for everybody, it's free to go to. Private is the ones you have to pay to go to. But I wanted to get out of the inner city, so I went to a private high school, paid my way through it. And when I was old enough to get an actual job, I worked at a mall. My favorite album of the Beatles. Wow. That's I just love the Rubber Soul to Revolver era, including the singles they released in that period. That is my absolute favorite. Now, Abbey Road Side 2 is the most awesome butt-kicking medley of Beatles songs ever, and maybe one of the greatest sides in rock and roll history. Sgt. Pepper's is the most important Beatles album, but I don't think it's their best. And I think you have to be of an age to understand just how important Sgt. Pepper's as an album was. The first album to put lyrics in to say, hey, the words are important. The first album, I go to the great British music critic Milton Dowd, who said, Sgt. Pepper's was the first artistic statement in a genre that was never considered artistic before. Whether you like Sgt. Pepper's or not, it is the most important album in popular music history. It changed the landscape of music forever. But I don't think it's their best album. Sgt. Pepper's, I guess, is a weird album. It's got some of their greatest songs. I mean, Day in the Life, put up your hands, let's fight. Day in the Life is probably the greatest orchestrated song by a rock band ever. Day in the Life is so amazingly beautifully orchestrated, and not just what Martin did, what George Martin did, what the Beatles did with it. Day in the Life is the greatest song, and I will take some time here and explain why it's true, and then I will ignore anybody who disagrees with me. Day in the Life is a song about social disharmony, that we just, as life gets going and we get involved in society, it just drives you crazy. It's maddening, and you have to lock yourself away. Society is just maddening. You go mad with it. So in a song that's about social disharmony and social dysrhythmia, two things happen. To illustrate the complexity of society, the song starts with a little piano chord, then adds a guitar chord, starts with the guitar, a single guitar, then adds another guitar, then adds the piano, then adds the drum, then adds more and more layers as the song goes on. But here's the other thing. In a song about social dysrhythmia, being disconnected, Ringo, who a lot of people hate on and don't realize what a great drummer he is, Ringo never plays the same drum beat twice in that song. Never. Not once measure does he play the same drum beat. There's always something different. And yet, while he's playing a different drum beat, he maintains the rhythm of the song. Boom, 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 ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. Every measure, every stanza, he plays a totally different drum line, and yet while doing that, he still maintains the beat. It's amazing. And then you build up to the wild cacophony, and what happens as society gets too crazy, you fall into the monotony of your 9-to-5 job. Woke up, fell out of bed, dragged a comb across my head, blah, blah, blah. Made my way upstairs and had a smoke. Somebody spoke, and I went into a dream, and we all know what he smoked there, right? Don't we? And all just based on stuff John Lennon wrote on a, read in a newspaper. Everybody's like, oh, Sgt. Pepper's was about drugs. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds was a kid drew a picture and said, Dad, look, here's Lucy, and she's in the sky with diamonds. Sgt. Pepper's owes more to Lewis Carroll than to LSD. John Lennon loved Lewis Carroll, and he loved to play with words. Definitely they were doing drugs at the time, but John Lennon and Paul and George will tell you, anything they wrote while on drugs sucked, and they never recorded it. Hey, Christopher, welcome back. I was just giving my lecture on the greatest rock and roll composition ever. That would be Day in the Life by the Beatles. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is an awesome song, but it's a very popular thing with John Lennon. It's a waltz. It's a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Picture yourself on a. It's a waltz. John Lennon wrote so many waltzes as rock songs. It's hilarious. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Good morning, good morning. Probably one of John's best rockers. Sgt. Pepper's, probably one of Paul's best rockers. But it's a very eclectic album because the whole point of the album was to show all the different musical influences they had been exposed to. So yes, you tuned into a train channel, and we're talking music again. Like I said, that pissed off a gentleman from Belgium last week, and he let me know about it. Here we got everybody coming in. I haven't changed the screens in a while, but let everybody catch this one. And how are they timing? Let's go to the station. They should all be slowly coming through the station both ways. That poor gentleman there is holding his little sign trying to tell him to stop, and they're just ignoring him. Poor little guy. Sucks to be a Deutsche Bahn official and get ignored. No, Rich, I know my stuff when I talk about it. Occasionally I'll talk about something I don't know much about, and I'll be called out on it immediately. So I try to limit myself to the things I'm certain of. Let's see, nothing's happening at the village. That's just me. You don't want to see that. But I say this every week. This is my meditation. When I really think I just need to chill, I come down here and just run the trains. I just watch them go in circles. It's all I need. I mean, I do want to, and I do have a layout planned, and I have a lot of stuff on the table just to give it some sort of life, but I think I'd be just as happy if I didn't have much on. That Delmenhorst station would have to have been. From the minute I decided to build a layout, that Delmenhorst station was going to be the real thing. Uh-oh. Hey, guys. Oh, are you shutting the house? Okay, it's gotten hot enough they're turning on the air conditioning in the house. Yeah, usually they wait for me to announce it. Because my wife hates the air conditioning. Yes, definitely, Rich. It is the sound of the trains. Oh, come on in and say hi to everybody. Let me...
Hi, everybody.
All right.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah. This is, if you haven't seen her, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's mirrored.
I know.
This is my wife, Joyce,
Hi.
the mother of our 3 amazing kids.
There's already enough pictures of me there. I don't
Yeah,
think
well, there's just as many pictures of me, dear.
don't need to be added.
She's also wearing red for Liverpool.
Right.
They're saying happy anniversary.
Well, thank you. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Oh, Rachel, I always
And-
get dislikes
and
too.
Rachel. What?
I said, Rachel mentioned she gets dislikes.
Oh.
I always get dislikes too. Like I said, I don't take the dislikes personal. If I get a nasty email, that's when I get upset.
Mm-hmm.
That's what really bothers me. When they feel the need to take the time. I mean, if they write a comment on the video, I can delete it. It might bother me for a few hours or a day, but I can delete it. It's when they take the time and write an email, since my email address is on my YouTube page, and they either write to my YouTube, or they write to my home email, or they write to my model train email, and then they really let me have it. I'm like, wow. But on the bright side, that's when I can fire back without worried about breaking anybody's rules there. Rich Corral says, what do you think of my toy trains? Microphone's down here.
Oh, I don't know. I guess it's our little bit of Germany in the basement. So, yeah, they're fine.
2 of them she bought.
Sure.
True. 2 of them she bought.
Good for you.
Yeah, my freight train she bought. The locomotive and most of the cars. And then I have a Brava locomotive not being seen, which she bought for me.
Sure. I thought the cargo train would be good for a couple Christmases, you know, easy gifts.
In other words, she buys the cargo train, and every year she could buy me another couple of cars to add to the cargo train.
Oh my God, it didn't last very long.
Yeah, we're just having a little bit of slowdowns here. I'm messing with stuff, and all of a sudden it slows down, and then they speed up again. I think that's here. Is everything else shut up, or do you have to go shut more down? It's all done? Good. And you just turned on the breathe right. So you're ready to go. Yes, they did call and said I need to call and make an appointment. Oh well. Are you off to knit more?
No, I probably need to roll the yarn it off. Excuse me.
The internet makes this sense of entitlement ridiculous. I turned into your video. Why are you not entertaining me? How dare you not provide me with the entertainment I want? And I'm not just going to click to another page. I'm going to dislike your video, and I'm going to leave a nasty comment because I don't like what you're doing. Your layout sucks. Your trains aren't weathered correctly. That's not prototypical. Dude, get a life. For goodness sakes, get a life. I don't even click dislike on a video. I leave. I just, okay, this isn't what I'm into. You know, click. Why some people have to be just, I mean, I know it's the freedom, you know, it's the, what was the book called? The Psychology of the Mask. It's a great book, and it's about how, you know, like executioners and that would become a different person because they put on the mask as somebody else, or you go to a masquerade party and you can become a different person. And there's a truth to that, but it's the same idea when you can be kind of anonymous. It's like some people just decide that gives them an excuse to, pardon my language, everybody, but to become real assholes. And, you know, and I'm going to mention Rachel here. Because Rachel has mentioned she gets some dislikes. And I want to know how many, because I assume it's a pretty good percentage, are just people that find out it's a woman, and how dare a woman do trains? You know, that's stupidity. Yes, model trains is probably 80% men, but it's because men act like cavemen, like, this is man stuff, women no understand. It's model trains. There's no gender to it. And so I'm sure a lot of the negativity that Rachel will get is simply, it's a woman. I mentioned that I once belonged to a European train enthusiast group. And I quit the group very quickly because, first of all, when women came together, the women were told to go sit in another room. And my wife, who wanted to talk the trains and the trips to Germany and stuff, because that's what they were all about, was like, oh, I'm not allowed in here. And of course, then there was all the racism in that group. Like I said, we'd go to a train meeting, it sounded more like the KKK. And I was like, this is not what I want to be a part of. So I don't care white, black, straight, gay, transgender, Muslim, Hebrew, Christian. I don't care. If you like trains, you like trains. And if you got a little circle on your kitchen table, I'm going to hit like on your video and say, nice job. And if you got the world's greatest layout, I'm going to say, nice job. I'm a nice guy until you cross me. Rachel's got an awesome layout. She had 3 awesome layouts, but she's elected to go down to 1. Totally your prerogative. I totally understand. If I could just get you people to wake up from those horrible double O scale crap you do and come to the world of German HO, you would all be much happier. That's a joke, kids. That's a joke. Let's not start a third American-British war. I'm sorry to hear that, Rachel, but yeah, people are stupid. Some people are. Actually, I like the human race. I think most people are good people, but man, the stupid people let you know they're there. Ho, 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 ho. Well, Kieran, I'm sorry that person wrote that. I understood you. And I'd rather hear you talking and explaining what you're showing. Because looking at the model is great, but having the person say, here's what this is and this is what I like about it, will always show me things I don't see. But you got to do what you're comfortable with. It just sucks that people like that drive you back. I've always been a fighter, so if somebody tries to put me down, I usually come back fist flying. But I always start off with being polite and respectful. Let's catch everybody coming through here. I'm going to run out of room for my ICs and ICEs in November when my ICE 4 finally comes in. And I've got an ICE 1 over there. Over there. Just follow my finger to a place you can't see. But yeah, I've got an ICE 1. So there will come a day when that ICE 1 and that ICE 4 and that ICE 3... 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then the IC1, the IC2 will be running everywhere. It'll be all ICEs on the trains. See, I don't show this one enough. I probably should show this more. Hey, you can watch me digging in my ear. Free bonus material. Yes, I have foam. I have a 1/4 inch of foam over a 1/4 inch of whole plywood. It's not multi-plywood. It is single sheet wood. It was more expensive, but not going to warp. Sadly, some of the foam warped a bit for some reason. I don't know. But this is the heavy duty. It's the American version of the stuff you see Charlie at Chadwick use on his stuff. Ours is green. In the UK, it's yellow. Of course, mine is painted brown now. Actually, some of it is pink. Just depends on the company. But the pink stuff is made right here in Toledo, Ohio. Owens Corning Fiberglass. Maybe you've heard of Owens Corning Fiberglass. It used to all be made in Toledo. Now, only some of it is. Okay, who's leaving? GWR is leaving. Bye, GWR. Rich, to get back to your question, I'm sorry I missed it. The rule on my layout is A, I'm an Era 6 guy. B, I'm German or Austrian and Czech as well. And I had to have ridden on the train to buy it, except the freight train. I've never ridden on a freight train. So every one of these trains you see, I have ridden on. I have actually been on. And in fact, this one, let me catch the 11 lane view. This guy coming right here, if you can see the hand, the finger of God, that train right there is an exact replica of a train my wife and I rode on in 2017. That's the exact locomotive and car set my wife rode in from the city of Bremen to the city of Leipzig. We rode on that exact train. Now, my railjet, which is not running today, my Austrian railjet, I've seen that train and stood on it, but never run it, but it's the actual train. So I have two trains here that I've actually technically been on. One that I've actually ridden on. But the rest of them, I've been on an ICE 3, and yes, I only do modern era. I have no steam. Oh, and yeah, the other one. That's the other train I wanted to show. Let's see, 11 lane view is probably the best one to show it. If you see the little red diesel guy sort of in the middle background, that's also a train my wife and I and a bunch of my students have ridden on, the RE25, which runs in and out of Koblenz. So yes, that's my rule with trains. I have to have ridden on them to buy them, and then my wife turned around and bought me a freight train. Well, when I got into model trains, Rich, they're expensive, especially these German models. Um, just to throw it out there, my railjet, which is a locomotive, 7 regular passenger cars, and then a control cab, as it's called in English, a control cab in American English. All of that combined retailed for $1,100. Now you bought the pieces separately. I didn't pay $1,100 for it, but that's what it would have cost if I had paid retail value for it. Fortunately, I bought it from a store that gives discounts. But yes, it's expensive. And I don't have a lot of money to throw at it. I have a lot more than I used to. I can now occasionally decide to buy a nice locomotive and go, but for most of our married life, my wife and I, money was tight, but our kids have grown up. My wife and I each got big raises at our jobs last year, and yeah, we're enjoying mad money, I guess you can call it. We have a little bit of money where we could spend. Now, normally, and it's not like we were poor. It's just, I went to Germany every year from 2003 to 2019, except for the year 2016 when my wife had knee replacement surgery. But we went to Germany every year, and that's where our money went. We saved up, and repairs to the house got put on hold, and we bought our airline tickets, and we took our students to Germany. The kids had to pay for their airfare, but then we did fundraising, and my wife and I would also pay for things to let the kids just enjoy Germany while they were there. We did an exchange program, and so they'd be in Germany for 3 weeks. But if we didn't raise enough money to go to a museum with the kids, my wife and I paid and took the kids to the museum. I think, how long have I been talking now? At least 2 hours. Anybody got a view of the live stream? What's the time on the live stream? My view doesn't tell me. East Coast, Mid-Atlantic, that's roughly where we're at, Ray. All right, so it hasn't quite been 2 hours yet. All right, not too bad. For me, since the other two were 2.5 hours. But I just like talking, and if people are here, I'll yak away. You do not have to stay. You will not offend me to leave. You don't even have to say goodbye. I am just thrilled that I actually had, at one point, 27, 28 people here, and that there are 19 still here. But I figure you guys can chat in there. Now, Christopher was talking about going over to a different chat. Christopher Kuros, is he going live? Does anybody know whether he is, in fact, going live? Because maybe I'll get off of here at 5 here so that, because he was talking about having club. He wasn't planning on doing club, but he said there's a possibility he might do club. Wow, what a coincidence, Ray. 2 of my nieces went to Towson University. But this is what happens. I just sitting here and Lee was wrapping up his, and I thought, well, maybe I'll just go on live. And my goal is I'll yak for an hour, and then 2 hours later I'm still yakking. I can't stand the sound of my own voice, so how anybody else can, I don't know. Yeah, my nieces they're now married and live elsewhere. They lived in Sperryville, Pennsylvania, and they both went to Towson University. And another connection to Towson is that the school I did an exchange program with, the school in Germany, Max Planck Gymnasium, also did an exchange with Towson University. So if your kids ever did German, they might have heard of that program. It would have been the same school. Hey, Penny Hill Junction. I am very pleased that you stopped by. Thank you for coming in. I'm never gonna do a how-to build show. If I go live, I'm just gonna be running my trains and yakking about whatever you guys want to yak about. So I think I did mention to the Maryland people out there, I am running all Maryland trains today. If you don't know, Maryland is the single largest model train company in the world. Yep, bigger than Bachmann, bigger than Hornby. Bigger than Tyco, which doesn't exist anymore. And sadly, MTH is going out of business. For those of you who do American models, the company MTH has announced they are going out of business. Although the owner has said there is talk going on that maybe the employees would buy him out and keep it open. So it's not 100% that MTH will be done. It's just that the MTH of MTH is shutting the business down as far as he's concerned. But there's a possibility the owners, the employees might make it an employee-run operation. So it's not 100% dead. It's just 100% he's closing it. I don't know if I've confused you with that. Yeah, Leslie, we just hit our air conditioner on because it's getting back up to 90 today. So, and that's the beauty. I feel so, I don't know, is it condescending or rude to say I feel sorry for you guys in the UK when you have your layouts in the loft and you have so many times in the year where you can't go up there because it's just too hot or too cold. I'm in my basement. It's climate controlled, heat and air conditioned. So I never have to worry about my track getting affected by the humidity, the moisture. It's always a consistent temperature down here. I'm spoiled that way. I am so spoiled that way. I remember Everard Junction when he decided to rebuild his layout and the warping that he was showing in his last video when he was announcing he was going to rebuild his layout. And I'm just like, thank God I'm in my basement. But you build where you can build. The only reason I have a layout at all now is because my kids grew up and they don't use the basement anymore. For 20 years, this basement was my kids' playroom, and then it became our library and still my kids' hangout area with their friends, TV, entertainment, stuff like that. And then finally, my daughter got married, and then my son moved out when he went to college. My other daughter has not moved out. But suddenly, this was a big, fairly empty room, and my wife said, why don't you just build yourself a layout down there? And I was like, really? I can? And Well, I have a big table with trains on it, so, and this is what I love, man. Meditation. Yeah, I understand basements are very rare. In Germany, they're rare. In the UK, they're rare. But there are parts of the United States where they're rare as well. But we live in a part of the country where every house has a basement. And just a little work by yours truly, and it's all nice and bright and airy and looks good. And it's a nice room for trains. Now, one last time, if you're sick of hearing about it, I don't care. We are celebrating. My wife and I have been married 33 years, together 37 years. And our daughter has given us permission to announce that she's pregnant. And this is our first grandchild on the way. And my wife has been waiting for years for a grandchild. Our daughter's been married almost 7 years. And for the last 5, she's been trying to get pregnant. And there have been things involved, and it hasn't gone well. But she is now pregnant, almost 3 months pregnant. So we're going to be grandparents for the first time. And I'm excited about that, but my wife is extremely excited about that. Because to me, I had to wait 3-4 years before I can let the kid near the trains. After that, it's poopy, or before that, it's just poopy diapers. I don't want to deal with that. I dealt with it with my kids. If my wife wants to deal with poopy diapers, she can do that. But I'm just going to wait till they're old enough to play with the trains. I'm waiting for that. Grandpa, can I play the trains? No, get your hands away from there, you little cretin. No, I'm waiting for that. So we are celebrating. And once again, we're celebrating this too. So just to annoy some of you again, there it is. All right, Christopher, aren't you going live? I will end this now if you were going to go live. Now that you're there, I was looking to see if you were up, because you were talking about maybe you and your brother were going to get together and that you might go live. And it is after 5 here, and this is if you were going to go live. Oh, crap. My daughter's back, and I got it. 2012. No, that's right. 2012. It is 8 years, nearly 8 years. Oh, my God. Why is it you only show up in my room when I say the wrong thing, honey? Why is it? All the cool things I say, you're not in there. That's right, Dad. You're awesome, Dad. But the minute I get your date wrong or illegally announce you're pregnant, now you're there. So yes, that you never left. You've been here the whole time. Well, why aren't you working? No, I'm sorry. Welcome back, Paul. Moreland Andy, yeah, I don't know how she manages to get up on stage anymore. I mean, at 35, she had trouble standing up straight. Now she's 80. Jolene, 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 Jolene. And that's the best Dolly Parton impersonation I'll ever do. Yeah, I've been yakking for 2 hours. Yep. Well, then happy anniversary to you, Rachel. Here I have been just bragging about myself, ignoring other people's. So happy anniversary to you in advance. But I guess it tells you what kind of marriage my wife and I have, where we're celebrating by me being on the trains and she's upstairs knitting. Actually, tomorrow's our day, and normally we'd go out to eat and stuff, but we're not going out to restaurants. We try to go be seen in public as little as possible. Well, Kira and I talk about my kids a lot. How great they are, how wonderful they are, all that stuff. They don't show up onto my chat, but I start giving away secrets, and they're like, "Hi, Dad, how are you?" "I've been here the whole time, keeping an eye on you, Dad." "And yes, Dad, I marked down that you said that train was worth $1,000, so... when the time comes and you've moved on to the great railroad station in the sky, maybe we can get a few bucks for it." Yes, Jim, you are up in that act quite a bit, and I know you clearly insulated it well. Do you have times of the year where you just can't get up there, or is it pretty good most of the year? One of my heroes, Hover Motion, is here. I'm going to embarrass you for a minute, Jim, but I have to do this. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. Okay. Man has an amazing layout. Come on. All right, let's get that one. Where is it? Getting ready for this one. Nobody's there now, but we're going to have a three. We're going to do the long run and have a three-way in a minute. Maybe a four-way. Not like that. Man, train people are pervs. I'm talking 4 different trains passing by in one shot. Boy, you say three-way and your minds immediately go to the gutter. You ought to be ashamed. Trust me, it's very hard to keep this PG-13. If there wasn't a camera on, probably every 6th word would be a very, very dirty word. Tim Wells could never bring Eli into the room while I was on. Yeah, see, I'm not showing the up the ramp camera a lot because I got the trains going away from it as opposed to coming into it as much. That's picture 4 on this screen, the up the ramp. The only one that comes up it is... But I did have one person who, wow, was it one of the Andes, who really was interested in my... windmill there, and that windmill does work. Well, it should work. I've got to fix it, and months later I still haven't. It hasn't worked, but all the pieces to get it to work are there. I just got to fix some wiring, which I can do, a little bit of soldering, but I've had a couple of people mention how they like that. I won't say this is my favorite scene, but it kind of is because A, I can get all the trains here in one shot. And also, if you squint your eyes, you got the picture in the background and some trees, and it almost looks like a layout. So I always like that one. And that's just a panoramic picture my wife took in Germany of an area called Saxon, Switzerland, with our digital camera. And I just printed it up 3 times and just reversed it and reversed it again. So it's like the same picture 3 times, but I mirror imaged it so it doesn't look exactly the same. But that's kind of cool. All right, bye, Moreland Andy. Oh, Ray, I used to love bowling. I loved bowling. I was pretty good too. I had many years where I carried anywhere between a 195 and a 205 average bowling. But bowling was the one thing you did not want to be around me. I was one of those ultra competitive jerks. You know, lose a game, kick a machine sort of guy. Although nowadays, I've learned to control that temper. But yeah, as a bowler, I was quite the jerk. People put up with me because I'd help their teams, but I couldn't put up with me. Again, take care, Andy. We'll see you soon, hopefully. Yeah, pretty much any picture you see on the sides of the backgrounds, my wife took. Probably should slow some of these down. They might show up a little better in the. So I'm gonna slow these down, so they're gonna kind of be putzing. Just it gives them, maybe gives the refresh rate a little more time. I'm just slowing the trains down a bit. Well, welcome, David Roos. And your eyes are quite eagled, because that is, in fact, an RE25 to Koblenz, that lint class, a lint class 648. That is the RE25 in and out of Koblenz, because you live. Oh, I'm going to say bye to Melvin. Thank you for coming by, Melvin. Thank you, Jim. Awesome of you to stop by. Where near Koblenz? I mean, anywhere from Köln, are you in Stolzenfeld, St. Gor, Ehrenbreitstein, Lahm, down Bingen, St. Gorshausen? I don't know many more of the, well, I know the Koblenz area well. I have been to the Koblenz area 5 times. So I will be arrogant and say I know the area well. Haha, well, that's why your eyes picked it up right away. The horror memories of going to school. Yes, that is the RE25. So yes. That is brand new. It was just released by Märklin, and I've had it for a week and a half. They've made other versions of it, obviously Märklin has, but all my trains, David, are Märklin. my layout, or as I call it, a train table, because it's not really a layout, will eventually be, I have the station of Delmenhorst, and the bus, ZOB, bus center of Delmenhorst is built. But Delmenhorst is a little suburb of Bremen. It's about, 10 kilometers west of Bremen. It's sort of my German hometown. And then my other side will be sort of Bremen and Hanover once I get building on it. But sadly, I'm not going to have any cool alpine scenics or Harz Mountain scenics or Rhine River scenics. It's going to be very urban. Okay, so yeah, Nassau and Lahn. Okay, I do know where that is. You had to say it before I knew where it was, but I know where it is. It's it's east of Koblenz, a few miles, just east of Koblenz, and Lahn is the river, and there's a little castle right there at the corner of the Rhine and Lahn River. There's a little castle up there, a tiny one, not Ehrenbreitstein. It's on the other side. If anybody else is live, let me know, because I will shut down. I've been going for a while. I'll probably shut down in a few minutes anyhow, but I've enjoyed this. No. Kieran, I don't get that. If anything, as they warm up, they will slow down just a bit. Most of my Märklin trains have built-in, I don't know what you want to call them. I'm not the tech guy. If I took these motors apart, if I opened up these locomotives and took them apart, I would say, oh, that's a motor, and that's an axle, and that's a wire. But the Märklin chips have a built-in suppressor that is very good at picking up the electrical signal from the track and maintaining speed. So, for example, my trains, if I have a train set to run at, let's say, a scale 100 kilometers an hour, I've got a 3-inch riser and a slope. The suppressor on the locomotive will kick in, so that train will not suddenly speed up going down that hill. It will lock it into that speed. It will slow it down to maintain the 100 kilometers an hour, if that makes sense. So no, my problem is when they warm up, I might get a little bit of a slowdown, especially when I'm running, well, let's see, I have 6 trains running, and I have 7 others that are actually all on this circuit board, because I do not have any other wiring. I have one power connection here, and here, you can see the stick here. I have one power connection. Let's do an up the ramp shot. Yeah, I have one power connection right here on this track. I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing, but right where the trains come in front of me, there is a connection here. There's 3 tracks across here, and then there's 3 here. Come on, come on, come on. Wah! Don't try that at home, kids. And that's it. That is my only power connection. And they tell you should run a couple additional power connections, but I don't, and I haven't needed it. If I get a couple of more big trains, I probably will need it. No, David, I've just been there 5 times. Or should I say David? I've just been there 5 times, and so we explore. I mean, Koblenz is an absolutely beautiful city where the Rhine and the Mosel come together. Is just gorgeous. Koblenz is one of my favorite cities in Germany. Dresden is number 1. Dresden is my favorite city in Germany. Now, my adopted hometown, Delmenhorst, is special to me, but Dresden is just an absolutely gorgeous city. Berlin's cool, but Koblenz is just pretty. Munich is pretty. But Koblenz is pretty without being super large and not quite as crowded with tourists as Munich is. Koblenz is gorgeous. The 2 rivers coming together there. And then I spent a week 4 times in the city of St. Goar. 4 times I was in St. Goar for a week. And then 2 other times I've been in St. Goar for a day. Now, if you said, wait, you said you've been to Koblenz 5 times. Yes, because 1 time I went to St. Goar and then go to Koblenz. The Saxon area, Tim, is my favorite. My wife and I said if we ever moved to Germany, it would probably be in a little town called Pirna Kopitz, which is about 19 kilometers east of Dresden. But she loves the region there. She loves what's called the Saxon Alps. Or not the Saxon Switzerland. The Saxon Switzerland. And we love the Elbe River. I personally think the Rhine is a cooler river. I like the towns, Bacharach and Bingen and St. Goar, all in that area. But for everything we like, if we moved to Germany, which we would have loved to have done, but it's never going to happen, the area just around Dresden is the best. Well, Kieran, I could say it's, yeah, I'm probably going to offend a lot of people. I don't know anything about train companies, okay? I know Märklin, and I know Rocco and Brava and the German Pico and Jägendorf Collection, which is also a great train company. The problem is they only release a couple a year. Jägendorfer Collection makes exquisite trains, but they only release a few each year. They're more famous for their ski lifts and models and stuff like that. But anyhow, Hornby nor Bachmann have a great reputation when I talk to HO modelers. Okay, now I know in the UK some people are Bachmann people and some people are Hornby people. But to outsiders who know trains more than me, Hornby and Bachmann are both kind of like, it's not as good. I don't know. I've never run them. I'm going to own a Hornby very soon. I'm going to be buying that Eurostar Beatles Yellow Submarine when the deluxe version comes out. I have been to Dresden twice now. Now, I will let you in on a little story. I am especially attached to Dresden, and I usually say it the German way, Dresden, because my Aunt Frida was born and raised in Dresden. Before, to escape the Russians, she retreated with everybody to Berlin, and then after the war, she was one of the, I forget what they called, the Putzfrauen, the ladies that, the Steinfrauen, whatever it was, who basically cleaned up Berlin after the war. But she escaped to the American side, which is where my uncle met her, and they married, and he brought her to America. But I grew up with her pictures of Dresden, and I was in love with the city before I ever saw it, and I had to wait till I was 50 years old before I finally saw Dresden live. And then my wife and I went back to the area. That was 2014. We went back in 2017. And we will go back at least once more, hopefully more than that, but right now we have a trip to Germany planned. We were supposed to go to Germany this year, but we weren't going to go to Dresden, and that got canceled. And we were going to go to the UK next summer. Well, next summer is now our Germany trip, and 2022 will be our UK trip. And I don't know if that'll be my last trip overseas or not, because I'm retiring in 2022 and I will take a significant pay cut, and I don't know how easily my wife and I will be able to afford traveling at that point. But so if I do manage more trips after that, maybe every other year, then definitely Dresden is going to be on the list. But when I ran my exchange program, David, we lived in the city of Delmenhorst for 3.5 weeks, but one of those weeks, one of those weeks we would call it the special trip. And we would always go to Berlin for 3 days, and then we rotated. And they could either go to Dresden for 4 days, Munich and the Alps for 4 days, or the Rhine River for 4 days. And the Rhine River trip was always the cheapest, so kids usually voted for that one. But we did Munich 3 times with students. We did Dresden just once with the students, and then my wife and I went by ourselves in 2017. But Koblenz in the Rhine area, we did 5 times, and yeah, it's gorgeous. I love Koblenz. I'll waste more time. There is a burger shop in Koblenz. It's called Max and Maritz Grill. It's in the heart of the Old Town District near Jesuitenplatz and the Frauenkirche. And it's run by this Turkish family. But first of all, they make the best version of American burgers in Germany, bar none. They get it right. So many places in Germany claim to sell American hamburgers. It's not right. But those were the nicest people. The nicest people. They welcomed my students with open arms. My students were always under pressure because my students were told my wife and I would pay for their meal if they ordered in German. They had to order and talk to the waiter, waitress, or whatever in German. And if they did, we'd pay for their meal. Otherwise, they had to pay for it themselves. Talk about motivation to speak German. Ray, thank you for stopping by. I'm sorry I missed you say goodbye. Yes, I'm sorry, Christopher. Cato has a very high reputation, especially in N-Gage. My friend Matt Moore, who was in here earlier, I should have told you that. He does Cato N-Gage, but he does American trains. But he is a huge Cato fan. Cato track and everything else. Cato makes very good trains. I'm sorry, I'm doing German. Paul, you've started G-Gage. Oh, gross. And that's what G means. G is the German word groß, meaning big. G-Gage got its name, groß. In fact, it was Märklin who created the gauges. H-O was a Märklin. They created G, O, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And O, H-O was half O. But yeah, Märklin invented H-O and G scale and 1 scale. And we're the first ones to set a standard. GWR, again, expensive. I mean, if I had 15 students, it could come out to about 150 pounds. My kids usually, they were ordering pizzas and stuff like that anyhow. It's not like they ordered lobster thermidor, but they would order 7 to 10 euro meals. So yeah, it'd be a couple $100. So it wasn't cheap, but my kids were great. My kids were all working class kids. We were not a wealthy school, and these were kids. My kids were working class kids whose parents worked overtime, gave up vacations, etc., to help pay for their kids to go. And we usually would get them on a plan too. If a kid said they wanted to go as a freshman, we'd say, okay, talk to the parents. This is how much it's probably going to cost airfare-wise, because the kids only had to pay for the airfare, and everything else they did in Germany was free. So they just needed spending money and airfare money. So what I'd love to do is get another camera here and let you see my controls and how I operate stuff. I do run it, for those of you who know Märklin, I do run a Central Station 3. Now, several of you have Z21s or Z21s as you call it, or in German Z21. The Märklin Central Station 3, the Z21, Z21, and the ECOS, the ESU ECOS, they're basically the same thing. The difference is the Z21, you connect to your computer and use your smartphone. The Central Station 3 and the ECOS have their own display screen. You don't have to connect it to your computer. You don't have to connect it to Wi-Fi. You know, and yes, the Z21 makes its own Wi-Fi with the router, but you don't have to do any of that with a Americlan. Now, if you want to upgrade your Americlan, you need a Wi-Fi connection because it's done through the internet, and they just send a signal to the box. But to run your trains, you don't need Wi-Fi or internet connection. You don't have to run it with an app. Now, there are apps I can run my train system with that connect with my Central Station 3, and I can turn my laptop computer into another entire Central Station 3, which I do, except when I'm doing this. Tim, if that's to me, a Hornby 00 gauge train would run well on this type of track. The only problem is all your Hornby stuff is, again, we get into this lexicology here. Your stuff is 2-rail DC powered. This is 3-rail track. So I would have to convert a Hornby train to AC. It's not that hard to do. You just have to switch the wiring on the axles differently and add the 3rd rail pickup ski, as we call it. DC wheels, axles, powered axles are insulated from each other. 3-rail aren't. We just have the 3rd ski, which is the pickup down the middle. But the thing about AC and the 3-rail ski and the additional pickups on the side is you have much less dead spot issue on the 3-rail track. You don't have your trains dying like they can, dying at points and so forth, because the points are completely powered. You don't have to buy special points. In AC, your points are automatically powered. I don't have to insulate, isolate. Now, some guys do it for block detection, but on my layout, nothing is insulated, nothing is isolated, and if I were to change the direction of my trains, I don't have to do anything special. If I wanted to change lanes on a train, I could run two trains on the lane if I wanted, as long as I got the speed right. That's the advantage of AC. The disadvantage of AC is the motors are more expensive, so the locomotives are more expensive, and everybody does HO, or I mean does DC. You know, 00 is DC, most HO is DC, so that's the disadvantage of 3-rail. Now, I have heard Triang, and I'm not familiar with it. I've heard Triang had 3 rails, but in a lot of cases, I thought the Triang 3-rail and the, or maybe the old Triang 3 rails were true 3 rails, because the old American Lionel trains were AC 3-rail. The old Lionel trains that my dad would have had in the 30s and 40s, and even into the 50s, before the late 50s when everything switched to DC. But if you look at old commercials online for American model trains, they were 3-rail in the 50s and maybe into the early 60s before everything went DC, because DC is just cheaper. However, AC is easier to run. It's just not as realistic with the knob in the middle, like Americlan does. Yeah, I know Triang is now owned by Hornby, and they were a separate company, but that's true of everything, so many things now. I mean, Roco, if you know these brand names, Roco from Germany and Fleischmann are owned by the same company, and they were in fact owned by Hornby for a while. But Fleischmann made HO scale and N scale. Roco made G scale, HO scale, and N scale. But now Fleischmann only makes N scale, and Roco makes HO scale and G scale or 1 scale, whichever one they do there. And the thing is, Fleischmann makes excellent stuff. Since I'm talking about countries, Fleischmann makes great locomotives and cars. Hi, Gareth. I'm great. Yeah, I got bored, and I've been yakking for close to 3 hours now. Today, I kind of did it on purpose. The other two, I just said, what the heck, and I would do it. But today, yep, Gareth, my wife and I are celebrating tomorrow our 33rd wedding anniversary. So we're celebrating that, and our daughter allowed us to announce today that we're going to be grandparents for the first time. We've known for a while, but we weren't allowed to say anything. But we're expecting our first grandbaby in January. So now that we can say it to people, it's hee-haw. We're very happy about that. Yeah, and Fleischmann, Rocco, all the other companies are DC. Notice how I bounce in and out of these conversations. Fleischmann, Rocco, Pico, their primary audience is DC, but because Märklin is so dominant, all those companies will make AC versions of their top trains because they know they need to get in on that Märklin market. So, yeah, Rocco, if you look at Rocco, it's going to be DC. If you look at Pico, P-I-K-O, it's going to be DC. Fleischmann's going to be DC. But Brava's going to be DC, but they all make AC versions of some of their stock and locomotives for the Märklin market because Märklin is such a dominant. Märklin is the 800-pound gorilla in the room in Europe. From France to Poland, Märklin is the dominant train brand. And of course, Märklin went the other way and bought out Trix. So now Märklin releases all of its trains in a DC version called Trix. Now Trix was its own company, but Märklin owns them now. So now, if you love one of my trains you see here, you'll find a Trix version of it in DC, which you could stick on your 00 track and layout, and just now and then pretend you're in Germany and get yourself some of these amazing German trains. Deutsche Bahn. I'm sorry, that's the rail company. Deutsche Züge. Hi, Andrew Turnridge. I did not see you come in. I apologize that I am so late. Yeah, I know some people, Leslie I think it was, yeah, I know some people that love River Rossi, and boy, I don't know about their quality. I don't trust it either, but boy do they make some beautiful trains, especially since they're an Italian company, some of the Italian high-speed trains they make. Oh my God, does River Rossi make some beautiful stuff. But yeah, they're owned by Hornby as well. And Arnold, especially their N-gauge stuff, I have heard used to be very good, but I've heard a couple of people on my German site say it's not as good as anymore. I just know Märklin. I mean, I was doing Märklin and committed to Märklin before I knew what I was doing. I had a Märklin train and Märklin track, and that was it. And then it was like, oh, there's AC and DC, and oh, there's digital and not digital. Well, I was already digital and Märklin, so that was it. I was stuck. Damien, sounds awesome. If you have a link to your, well, somebody look up Damien's page so I can look it up and follow it, because yeah, anybody doing tricks, because that's what Jim Hover Motion does. He does many of the same trains I do. In fact, if anybody knows Hover Motion, about a month ago he did a video where he was running all his ICEs, and yes kids, they're ICE, not ICE. ICE. Not ice trains, ICEs. Anyhow, that video was specifically for me. I am taking full credit for that. I teased him about it in a couple of comments we were sharing back and forth. And he had asked, and I said, man, you need to get all those Fleischmann ICEs back out. But yeah, he does a German layout. He's a UK guy, but he does a German-based layout. His layout's amazing. It is as automated as anything on the planet Earth. You'd have to go back and find his disco video he did 3 years ago or whatever, when he was running the lights crazy in there. Amazing stuff. Also, there's another guy, Dale Schultz. He has a computer, Tim Surf. I don't know if you know this gentleman. You should probably look him up. I'll type the name in here. He's an American. He does fully computer automated layout. Very similar to how you are very gifted at automating and doing all the lighting and everything. He does the same thing. In fact, he's the gentleman that made my bus stop signs that I showed you. Check out a couple of his videos of his computer animated layout. It is freaky good. I think you would like it. He is a former MIT computer tech, IBM guy, and I think you and he have a lot in common based on what you like to do and your knowledge of things. So he might be one to check out. Exactly, Christopher. I don't know if you were here when my wife was here, but that's what she said. Running our trains is like being in Germany without being in Germany. This is, I mean, I have turned this room into my Germany room. If you look in picture one, well, I can't. If you look at picture one, the train station room, you can't see it, but there's a map on the wall. That is the German rail system map. That is a guy from Deutsche Bahn gave me a few years ago because they were putting new ones up. They don't give these out to the public, but he happened to have one, and he gave it to me. And so it shows all the lines and whether they're high speed or regional and so forth. So I got that little map back there. If you look in picture 4, right below that, you can see my flag of the city of Delmenhorst, Germany, my German hometown. And then the flag of Niedersachsen, Lower Saxony, the state flag there. I do have a German flag up, but it's not in the cameras. I have a Alps poster, and then I have a Europe map, all in German up here. So yeah, I've got a map of Germany that you can't see. But yeah, this is my, when I need to get away from Toledo, Ohio, USA for a bit, I come down here. Andrew, you don't have to apologize. It's I try to learn from you guys the UK trains. But what we do have, and I will go to the 7-lane view so you can kind of see them. That's not the 11-lane view. And as they come through, that's just my freight train. That is a 185 locomotive. This guy coming here is an IC2, not ICE, IC2. Double-decker wagons. Intercity 2. That's an IC2. All right, let's speed these guys back up a bit. Come on, speed! Yeah! Now, this is the flagship. This is the ICE3 right here. This is an ICE3. It looks a little like a Pendolino or a Class 800, but a little more space-agey. That's an ICE3. That is the most common. Now, there is a new one called IC4, which looks a little different. And then this is an IC1. And then this is the IC2, ICE2. So I have ICE2, ICE3, IC1, IC2. So they kind of go in order. I do have an ICE1, but it's not really ready to be running on my layout. It's an old one that I picked up in a trade, and it needs some repair work done. So it's parked over at my siding, or Schattenbahnhof, as you might call it in Germany, or my fiddle yard, as you might say in the UK. So I have 2 ICEs running on these 2 tracks, which I call my outer tracks, even though here they're the inner. And then 2 ICs here. And the difference is the ICEs go faster. So there's an IC1 and the IC2 passing each other. And to understand German high-speed trains, if they're white with a red line, they're high speed. And only the federal government runs those. Then the federal government regional traffic is always red trains. But I'm not running it. Well, my little diesel guy running circles, pardon the hand of God, back over here. Let's see, where's the stick? So that little guy right there, that is a federal German regional commuter traffic. And then private companies do regional as well, but there are many different colors. They're blue and orange and whatever. Welcome back, Jackie. Yeah, I'm still on babbling. Go figure. Ba-dum-bum. Don't know about you, but I see 4. Thank you here. Thank you, people. I'm here all week. Try the veal. Yes, the Valero is actually an ICE3. The Valero is, even though it's called the Eurostar, it was built by the same company, just painted differently. It's a Siemens Bombardier, I think is how they pronounce it. Siemens Bombardier. But yeah, the one Eurostar is a, the Valero is an ICE 3 or 4. I don't have an ICE4 yet. The ICE4s first went into public use in Germany in December of 2016, but there's only a couple of routes. Now they're much more prevalent in Germany, but still ICE3 is the top dog. But I will be getting, Pico released an ICE4 model last year, and it's fantastic. Märklin is releasing one this year. Except Märklin's is supposed to be really, really fancy. It's going to do more than the Pico does. Like, all the pantographs go up and down separately. You can control the pantographs up and down. Now, there are other model trains that have done that in the past, both UK trains and German trains, but this is, Märklin is really going to try to show off with that. But the pantographs you can control from your controller. And then a bunch of other stuff. There's Long Run again. There's Delmenhorst Station. And you can see the map, the German rail map, a little better. You can see the Fowler bus system. Sadly, the Fowler bus system is shut down because we had a problem. If you weren't here earlier when I talked about it, I would love to show off the Fowler car system. I did have it running in the video. Everything was great, but I got a new module to automate a couple of things, and everything went wrong. Oops. David, some of the ICE4s have green stripes because they're operating on what they call green energy motors. Not all of them, but some of them are getting green stripes. And Märklin is making a green stripe version, but I'm just going to get the regular red stripe version. They're actually charging 50 euros more, 60 euros more for the green stripe. I'm not paying 60 euros more for a slightly different color stripe. And by the way, people, everybody on the stream that I know personally has a great channel. You should check them out. Look at their videos, and if you like what you see, subscribe. Remember, don't just subscribe and walk away, because they'll pull your subscription anyhow. But there are so many great people and personalities, and I love seeing it. I probably should have switched views here. I just had everybody coming through here. Let's go to the all view again. Was that on your, was that on Train Simulator? Oh, trains, yeah. Yeah, we won't ask you how you derailed that and tried to kill all those people. No, Andrew, in N-Gauge, the technology will always be several years behind in terms of the additions. I mean, when I think of what I saw in N-Trains 40 years ago, and you saw very little of it, or even N-Trains that people own now that are 10, 20 years old, the N-scale trains they make now are amazing. The fact that they can get chips, the fact that you can do more than just have a working light on them now. But unfortunately, the technology always starts big and then has to be shrunk. So N-scale will always be a bit behind in that regard, but N-scale is fantastic, especially when you don't have a big space. I look at my table here and I sometimes think, do you know how amazing a layout I could have built in N-scale? Do you know how amazing my layout could have been in N-scale? And for those who have not seen the map before, here is an amazing piece of art. I hired a gentleman named Vincent van Gogh to draw my layout for me, and this is what he came up with. I find it amazing. Now, he wasn't able to put everything I wanted in because he only had one ear, so he didn't hear half of what I said. But this is my train table, and it kind of shows where the cameras are located. So like the village view, the station view, the up the ramp view, which I don't show often, the long run view, and the 11 lane view, because if you count across, well, if you go over here and count across, you'll see there's 11 lanes there. And then I have parking at what will eventually be the Bremen station. And then what's not on this map, but is to the right, as you're looking at it, is I have a fiddle yard, which is 5 more lanes and parking for my long trains. But that is my train table. I don't like to call it a layout. See, there's my 4 basic cameras. And then I can add the station view in the middle. There's a guy going, the village view, I should call it. So there's that. And, okay. Oh, not good, Kieran, not good. Now, the fastest I've ever been on a train was an ICE-3 going from Hamburg to Berlin, and we got up to 280 kilometers an hour, which, if I do the math right, is about 150 miles an hour. Got to go to my American brain and try to do my American math. American math. Got to figure things out in my American brain. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. Yeah, breaking the sound barrier with a train, not good, Kieran. Not good. Impressive, but not good. And when they had to go into the individual passenger wagons and peel the people out of their seats and take them to an inflation station to pump them back up, I'm sure they weren't happy either. Mike the Pike, I am in Toledo, Ohio, USA. Home of the Toledo Mud Hens, AAA baseball team. Home of Jeep, the Jeep Wrangler. The home of Tony Paco's Hungarian hot dogs. World famous, too. Thanks to Jamie Farr, the Toledo actor from MASH. One-time home of Champion Spark Plugs. One-time home of Owens Corning fiberglass insulation. And, most importantly, the home of me. If a plane could do it, so can a train. No, I really need to check off for a bit, Christopher, so I think that's a great excuse to get me to shut up. Lord knows I just do this, and I am amazed how many people have come in. I've got 20 people here still. I have been on for almost 3 hours, and I've got 20 people, some of who have stayed here the whole time. You people are masochist. If you actually stayed here and listened to me for 3 hours, you're masochist. There's a couple of clubs you probably want to go to with leather ball gags and straps that you probably need to check out. But I thank you nonetheless. But yeah, I think we will slowly bring everybody to a halt here. Let's see. He's coming in first. We'll slow down the... I know I should park them at the station, but these people aren't going anywhere. Yeah, I'm stopping them a little too fast. I should have just used the digital stop, but what the heck? And where's my freight train? Doobie-doobie-doo. Dude. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Slowing down, slowing down, slowing down, slowing down. Close enough. Turn your lights off. Come on, ICE2. Let's go. Pick up the pace. Pick up the pace. Pick up the pace. We'll slow them down. All right. Come on. Get in here, fella. No, now. Over here. Time to say goodnight. But it's good. You haven't been run like this in a while. It's been a few months since you've run. All right, so what I am going to do is thank all of you for stopping by, tuning in. I don't know that I could really set times. I mean, the morning times here in the United States, which is early afternoon for you guys, UK is 5 hours ahead. I'm usually busy. That's why with some of the live chats you guys have in the morning, I'm either still in bed. I get up about 7, sometimes 8 o'clock. I let myself sleep until 8 since I'm not working right now. And then I have to do back treatments, back exercises and stuff like that. And then a couple of days a week, my wife makes me get out, ride my bike, and play some tennis. And then other days, I try to catch the live streams. So I'm just down here, and then I flip on. I may turn around and go tomorrow, but I doubt it. I'll probably wait a few days. So anyhow, everybody. Pascal, I'm sorry I did not see you come in. Mike the Pike, thanks for stopping by. Pascal, I apologize I did not see you. Thanks for stopping in. Anyhow, I'm going to say once again goodbye to everybody, and I will be signing off. Take care. Enjoy. And I'll see you somewhere on the line. Happy trains. Bye.